Call this study session meeting to order at 6 p.m. We're going to start off with new business. First, discussion and presentation of the proposed school resource officer partnership agreement between the city of Mapton and the Mapton School District. Our superintendent, Elise, will now speak on that.
Thank you all for having me this evening. Do you all have a copy of the written proposal? You do? Okay. So I've had the opportunity to work with Chief Soto just on future planning for our school district. And as I'm developing our strategic planning goals for the years starting in 2026 through 2029, one of our focus areas for the school district is school safety. And so we have had a contract with Phoenix Security over the last several years. Phoenix Security offers us a school resource officer, and it is what it says it is. It is a security measure. It's not a fully commissioned officer. So one of the things that Chief Soto and I have been working on is a stronger partnership between the city of Mapton and the Mapton School District. And then Mayor Gonzalez and I have also been having conversations about how to strengthen that partnership because we're all serving the same families. One of the ways that we believe that would be best served is through having a dedicated school resource officer. So what that would look like is a fully commissioned Mapton police officer from our community, serving our community, would actually become our school resource officer during the school year. We primarily have that his or her employment with duties with us, working with families, students, administration, staff. In our conversations, there's a lot of training that needs to take place. The police force here is large enough right now just to dedicate someone to that role. So it would need to, someone would need to be hired, someone would need to be onboarded, go through training and all of the certification that is involved with that. So it take upwards of 8 months to a year roughly. So what Chief Soto and I have done is we really looked at kind of a phased in approach. This is something that I believe starting sooner than later would be best. The school district, doesn't have the funding ability to be able to say, yes, please hire somebody. We're going to pay for that officer, 75% of that officer's salary while they're getting trained and so on and so forth, unfortunately. And so it wouldn't work for the district for us to have, security officers would be like security paying that contract plus paying for someone to be trained, right? So we came up with this phased approach where the district would contribute in the first phase, which would be year one, the 26-27 school year, what we're coming into, would pay a $20,000 payment to the department or the city, or I'm not sure how that works. That would basically be in good faith, saying, okay, we all agree. Chief Soto is going to go ahead and hire an officer, start getting them trained, fully commissioned, and ready to start with us as soon as that training is done. Once that training is done, that would become phase two. They would be placed with us, and then the school district would pay 75% of that salary. In that phase one is an important phase for us because that's the phase where we would be technically uncovered, right? Because we wouldn't have a security officer, we would have a dedicated SRO. So one of the things we came up with is just this increased presence, more communication, more increased presence, and more connection. And so if you look here at the proposal, phase one, on page 2, it talks about priority campus presence times. These are pieces, parts of the day that are really important for us, that we have kids out and about, that we have a lot of guests coming in and out of our buildings, that we would prefer to have someone there, an officer there to work with us, to be present, to be building those relationships. As we know, the city's police force is dedicated to serving the city first. So we do understand that this phase and approach, we would be one prong of that. And then of course, you know, as soon as we get somebody identified and trained, we would, move into that phase two and hopefully that. Is there anything that I've missed that you'd like to?
The only thing that, and, you know, it's not a guarantee, but that could shorten the period is if we were able to hire an exceptional, which means they have their certification already, but they don't have the 2 years of experience to say that they're a lateral, but they're already academy certified. So that would cut down the time significantly where, you know, that we could put an SRO into the school. Obviously a lateral would be even sooner. But I have had a few calls from people who are interested in applying that have those that are certified already. So what it would be is I would have to advertise for an exceptional lateral police position. And then whatever candidates apply, they would go through the interview process. And depending on how things go, the background, all that, we would still have to do that. You know, it would cut the 8 months to a year. You know, if it's an exceptional officer, maybe 4 to 5 months, maybe 6 months at the most. And if it's a lateral, you're talking about 3 to 4 months. So, but worst case scenario would be if we can't get that, then it would be the entry level. And then, which they'd have to go through the academy, they'd have to go through the FTO program, all that, which would take up to 8 months to a year. But yeah, as far as like the superintendent mentioned, we agreed, you know, between myself and Sergeant Medelis, we would make sure we would try to get at these times at the schools as we agreed upon. But city calls are priority. And then, but I don't really see it a problem being able to meet this first phase. If, you know, depending on how long that would be. So. And we've been wanting to work with the school. The school needs us. We want to make sure that the school and the students are getting what they need. When something happens, we have to go in. We have to respond. The security can only do so much. So I do think because myself, I was an SRO. It's a good idea. It is important for us and it helps build that rapport with the students. And it's just a good idea to have a police officer in school nowadays. Okay. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I hear you guys talking about training and stuff that they have to go to the academy and stuff. Does Phoenix people have to go through that training to?
So, no, they do have to go through some training,
Some
right,
training
and
that they
some
lack.
background type. You know, checking, but no, they're not fully commissioned officers, they have no arrest power, we really don't have any authority other than they are a security presence. When things happen, I'm calling the police department, that's what I do. Phoenix Security has been serving more as like a supervisory or supervision type of a role. One of the things I'm excited most about, if this is something that we can do in phase 2, our officer would actually be able to work on like some drug and alcohol classes and courses and teaching for our younger kids and some gang awareness or gang prevention type curriculum as well. So those are things that we don't have access to with Phoenix Security. So those are kind of some of the main differences. It's the fully commissioned arrest power, definitely more authority within our community, so those relationships between law enforcement and school are closer, and of course, just the educational component that comes with the fully commissioned officer as well.
And they would also have to go through an SRO. Mandated if we have an SRO there, they have to go through that training.
That's mandated through the state or?
Would this person be under the school's umbrella or under the city's?
He or she would be under the cities. They would still report to me, but more or less, they're following the guidelines that the school district wants them to do. Their duties and stuff would just be school. And as the superintendent and I discussed, the only time they would have to leave is if we had an emergency and there was an officer that needed assistance. That is priority, they'll take off for that, but other than that, their duties are at the school and whatever the superintendent or the principals would like them to do. During their off times, like Christmas breaks, spring breaks, summer breaks, they would be working patrol and they'd be working shifts.
It's gonna be a full-time job,
Yes.
so the city's gonna have to cover benefits and everything?
75% would be school district, 25% would be city of Matt.
How are we gonna work that out?
So what we do is we look at their total salary and compensation.
Right.
With benefits and everything else, and then the school district would pay for 75% of that because. We would have them under our umbrella, so to speak, for 75% of the time of the calendar year. About 25% would be with the city of Matthew through the summer.
So the city would cut you guys a check to
No,
cover our
No,
costs?
it would be like a reimbursement model, which the school district has a lot of different partnership contracts, because we're a small district and it's hard to get qualified people in. So we're pretty used to doing this, and we would create a purchase order essentially, and the city would bill us. We could be billed, whether that be monthly or yearly, or however we agreed to do that with our accounting department. That means that you would invoice us and we would pay for that SRO.
Would this person be paid overtime at evening events?
So that would have to be part of the contract.
Right.
And that would be something that we could look at if that was, the case. And that would be a charge for the district.
Okay.
And that's similar to what we've done also with our Phoenix security contract. So they have a typical daily contract rate. And then if we ask them to do, dance supervision or game supervision, it was an additional charge per hour that they were needed at that. So that's something that we would have to work out.
Chief, what are the odds of finding somebody with a tier experience? Slim?
We could probably find an exceptional that still cuts the time significantly. I think that one would be pretty good, but again, I'd have to advertise.
Yeah.
And figure out where we're at, and then if I didn't get any applicants for some reason, then we would have to go the other one. And even though I do have an officer starting on August 3rd, that officer is for patrol. I would not be able to use him for SRO. Is because our immediate need is patrol.
Yeah.
But like I mentioned before, I do have that other open spot that hasn't been filled. That one would be the one that would be utilized for the SRO.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I got. Do the kids need a permit to park the cars in the parking lot? Because I see a lot of them park their cars over here between the post office and the church.
They do.
Okay.
They're supposed to have a permit to park, yes. They don't cost anything, but they do need to come in and fill out the paperwork and make sure that they have a license to drive, make sure the car has insurance and its registration and all of those types of things. So yes,
Yeah, I was wondering about that because why in the hell they park
Yeah.
over here,
yeah, they're doing that so they don't have to provide proof of
Yeah.
legal driving requirements.
Yeah. okay.
Yes.
And also, why is it the high school fenced in like all other schools?
Where they're not, what?
Fenced in,
Oh. That's a good question. I mean, it's not a requirement to fence in, your campus. I think it's just based on, the need and if having an open campus is a real safety concern. I definitely think there's a potential that eventually we could potentially, fence things in. I think, you know, with our enrollment declining, how it is. I'm really looking at ways to streamline operations, so I was just talking with Ruben over here, I'm actually shutting down our district office right now. And I'm moving our office spaces into Arts Fox Elementary, because we're paying for 4 buildings right now, and we don't need to be, it's inefficient, we only have approximately 600 students enrolled in our district, so. I don't know that I would invest the large amounts of money at this point, or ask taxpayers to invest dollars through a levy or something for fencing, if there is a potential for us consolidating down to 1 building with the low number of enrollment we have, so, but if that's something that the community wants or sees that is important, that's definitely something we can look at too, so.
Are you closing the bus garage? Or just the office
So the maintenance department has like a little,
in the back, yeah,
small annex office in the back, so, I'm gonna basically, yeah, everything else is moving out of there. They will still have the small maintenance department in the back, which is actually separate from everything else in terms of heating and cooling and all of that, so it's kind of its own entity right there. And they don't really utilize the office other than to come in and fill out timesheets, so, yeah. Good question.
One question that I needed clarification. On, even though if you were to get the SRO,
Mhm.
you would still have, maybe not as significant of a security person as with Phoenix that you have, but basically another pair of eyes still, or are you just wanting?
Yeah, so that's something that we're definitely looking at. We, just hiring a security individual to
Mhm.
support with supervision, discipline, those types of things.
Right,
This year I had 2 classified staff members,
okay,
who I paid out of federal dollars for tier 3 intervention,
Yeah.
essentially. And a lot of those tier 3 interventions are around behavior modification.
Mhm.
And so I placed one at the secondary building and one at the elementary building. We no longer have those positions, but if I really feel there becomes a need,
right.
then that
And
is.
the only reason I ask is, during the times that maybe you would need the SRO,
Yeah.
maybe they're doing a classes.
Sure,
Or something.
yeah, absolutely,
There is still somebody.
Yeah.
Walking around, okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
I lost my train of thought. Can't remember what I was gonna say.
The one thing I will be presenting, on Monday at our school board meeting, the same proposal, and asking our school board if they're interested in moving forward and pursuing this option. In our study sessions, we have had discussion about it, and it's something that they want to learn more about, so. This is really something that I'm asking for the blessing of both the city, and the school district to be able to engage in this partnership, so. I don't think we're necessarily in a rush, but it is something that is a priority, with school starting August 24th, I would like to have something in place, an agreement in place, no later than the 2nd week of August.
That's what I was gonna ask. How soon would you want this to take effect?
As soon as everyone's comfortable, the sooner the better, but, if there's things that need to happen in terms of discussion, Chief Soto and I would need some time to work out a contract and make sure that all of those pieces are put together. And like I said, if school starts August 24th, I would like to have something in place prior to that, so we have the opportunity to work that contract out and get everything signed.
So we have roughly about a month to decide on this. Or to get everything,
kind of close.
Or soon, a month or soon, whatever you guys, whatever the council decides, their timeframe is.
Whatever's appropriate.
I think it would be beneficial to both parties, the school and the city. I think it's a win-win situation for both parties. And this is on a 1-year basis, right? And then you renew the contract after the year, or?
That would be up to however we structured that. It could be a year-to-year basis. It could be a, year with an automatic renewal clause. Anytime, I don't know what the pay structure is for officers, but if there's, if they get the IPD or experience increases and things like that, we would have to sign off on, a contract addendum to make sure that the district was paying, the 75% total of that increase based on those things. I would have to sign an addendum each year to make sure that we were staying on track with that, so. We could structure it however everyone was comfortable, whether it's a multi-year, a single year with a rollover.
I myself personally, I think to start off with, I think it'd be best to go with a year. And then we can see where it goes and how it works. Then after that, if there's any changes we have to make as far as improvements or whatever, then we can do it then. Or we can do it at the 6 month period or whatever it may be. But I think 1 year would be a good starting point, and then just go from there. I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but I myself, I'm willing to support this, at least, you know, on my side, my end. I think it's a good idea. And I wouldn't have a problem approving this at all.
So will you be in touch with me or will you?
Yeah.
Somebody will reach out.
Yeah, okay, that's you.
Wonderful.
Yes.
You don't need any copies? Have your copy.
I got it.
Okay.
Hopefully we can give you an answer within the next couple of weeks, hopefully, yeah,
Great. Well, thank you. Thanks for having me this evening.
Thank you.
you're welcome.
May I exit through this door? Okay.
That door, no? Have a good evening.
Thanks, you too.
We are gonna move on to, we are going to move on to, item B, sorry, discussion of ordinance number 2019-1133, establishing the cemetery advisory committee. And along with, it kind of ties in, so also discussion, I'm sorry, item C, which is discussion of ordinance number 2024-1031, amending chapter 2.44 of the Mapton Municipal Code relating to the Mapton Cemetery. And here, I printed out some stuff and it's a little bit easier to read. Here, it's one of those, it's two, so, there you go. Oh, there it is. Sorry. No. So, I wanted to discuss this,
The chief wants.
Okay.
No, okay, okay.
So, I know one of the things, that, you know, has been brought to, my attention and City Hall, is our cemeteries. And so I'm just kind of, you know, doing some research, and in 2019, there was a committee, formed, or there's an ordinance for a committee. But it's never been, taken place, or like, no one's never started. And so I wanted to review, I was kind of reading over this, and there's just a couple things that, this is just for discussion, we don't have to make any, you know, but just kind of what I was thinking is, if you see on section 2 and for ordinance 2019, establishment of committee and eligibility, I would like to change that from 5 members to a minimum of 3. And then the other is, I think another thing I would like is also to be, included within the committee, just so that way, like when we have meetings, I can kind of, report back as to, you know, but Public Works, obviously, because the city is the one who is taking that on, just to kind of be able to report back, and just get, information out to the committee. And then here, if you see terms of committee members, I would like to change that to just a year instead of, if you see here, a member that is also council, member, for a period of 2 years. Thereafter, the city council member on the committee shall be redesigned by the mayor, approved the majority of 4 years. So anyways, I would like to change that to yearly. Just, like I said, this is something that we'll be discussing, at the next meeting also, and, you know,
You want to change the meeting?
I guess-
Council and.
Yeah, just have that just 1 year, regardless of, if they're a council member or not. So anyways, I just wanted to provide these and that, you can review them and, we can talk about it the next meeting and just kind of bring our, I just kind of want to reconstruct this ordinance to kind of better fit like what is going on right now in the city. And then if you take a look at ordinance number 2014-1031. I guess one of the things too is, and I think if we do establish, when we establish this committee, we can also kind of help with, just, enforcing some of the policies that are within this, ordinance. So yeah, for example, we're supposed to be, taking, down any flowers or like any ornaments or anything, sorry, where does it say that? Every second and fourth Tuesday, and there's also a sign out on this, at the cemetery. We're not supposed to allow glass, just different, because obviously it'll break. Pinwheels, just different things that are happening right now that are being put out on.
Sorry. I'm sure.
Oh, sorry about that. So anyways, yeah, so, I also want to see when council will have time. If any council members have time to go out tomorrow to the cemetery, so that we can kind of discuss. Further, like some of the stuff that isn't being enforced. Tomorrow.
What time?
What time did you guys?
Oh, Thursday?
Thursday,
Have that whole day?
obviously sometime in the morning, so that way, is 8 too early? 8:30?
You're gonna have coffee and donuts?
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
9, okay.
Yeah.
9.
9, Ruben, you wanna go?
You wanna go out there? Okay, okay. And so then that.
Some people won't be able.
Kind of just.
Yes.
Long time ago, yeah. Think we know you.
We decided that if it's within your little area, you can put, as long as there's no grass needed to be mowed.
So
that
then,
area.
that's why I would like for council members to go out there with me, just to kind of show,
And this
but
is
then also
mowing,
we would have to amend this because it's not.
It didn't say that.
It doesn't say, yes, here it says, sorry that it did not. I remember.
I remember us talking about.
Yeah.
But, so
A
that's,
lot of people like that stuff on there, but they said, if it's in the way of mowing, they have to take it off, but if you stay in the part where there's no grass.
Yeah.
Then it can be.
As we trim on.
Right.
yeah, so if you look at, sorry, I think it's the 4th page. Removal of ornamental floor was the bottom. Yeah. That's where it says, the city shall have the authority to remove any and all flowers, balloons, flags, or any other object placed on a lot, grave sites every second and fourth Tuesday. Yeah.
It's brand new and it's not even in the way.
Exactly. So that's why I would like to, this is something that we need to update.
Mhm.
So, like I said, you can discuss this further. Underneath.
And do they mow, those specific dates still, those are dates that they have to do it,
Actually, they're mowing.
Tuesday?
I'm not too sure, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not too sure, but, we'll make sure to have,
Probably do it
our-
weekly, huh?
they do a
Not
weekly,
twice.
yeah,
Twice a-
no, not twice a week,
Not twice a month. That
no. So,
sounds too little.
no, not twice. So yeah, so tomorrow night.
Wait.
Yes.
Can we have somebody show up at a different time so we don't have a
Oh,
quorum?
That's right.
I will. I'll show up later.
Okay, if you want, yeah, that's fine. We can head over there after our meeting. You ready to?
Oh, sure.
Okay, we'll do that. So then Judy and I'm sure the meet us tomorrow, right? Okay. Okay. So. Let's, move on now to the discussion of the city of Mountain, purchasing and procurement policy. Drew will be speaking on that.
Yes, good evening, council members. You, in your packets is a procurement policy. I believe you've all been sent the clean version, meaning the version that myself and another colleague of mine, Hannah Wascom, have been working on for the last couple of weeks to update the procurement policy. If it's council's wish, we can separately send you the red line vision so that you can see the changes from the original version. And I just want to start off this conversation. This is not on your agenda tonight for any sort of approvals. But I do want to at least highlight that the last time that your procurement policy had been adopted was 2019. Since that time, there has been a fairly significant amount of additional requirements in the procurement and public works contracting world set down by the state legislature. One prime example is you'll notice in the procurement policy that there are certain apprenticeship requirements for certain types of public works contracting. That information is in there because we're required to by state law. There are, and I anticipate answering some questions tonight and anticipating that in the next council meeting, there will be additional questions and additional discussions. Happy to kind of highlight when people have questions, what sort of areas are dictated by state law versus what areas are dictated by either state law or in some cases federal contracting law. So the areas of the procurement policy that discuss any sort of federal contracting, including who has what we describe in this world as signing authority, i.e. contract approval authority, those things are going to be dictated by federal contracting requirements and are things that the city could not make changes to. There are other areas. Another prime example is the mayor's signing authority for public works contracts. Most cities will have their executive to have some kind of signing authority for contracts up to a certain threshold amount. There's not, I would say, a uniform number that all cities adhere to. There's not a state law requirement of what that number is. I will say, generally speaking, that the number usually has to be high enough to allow the mayor or the chief executive, whoever has that signing authority, to be able to, make regular purchases as necessary, in the normal course and scope of their duties as the executive. And so with that, I turn over the council to see if there's any initial questions. Again, I anticipate that there'll be at least another touch on this so we can ask for additional questions. Happy to also provide the red line version separately to all the council members after this meeting to kind of see the change between the 2019 version and the 2026 version as well.
All the red lines, those red lines, and this what they're proposing to change it to?
Yeah, I think I don't think that was provided in your packet. That's why I'm asking if the council wishes for me to provide that. I'm happy to do it separately.
And it was Drew.
Oh, it was. Oh,
Yes.
I'm very sorry. I'm working off the packet that was posted online. So if you could see so if you have the red lines, great. Ignore that part I just said. Sorry. And if there's questions about any particular red lines or anything, I'm happy to answer those questions. You can tell me what the page is. I'll follow along and I'm happy to explain it.
Well, the first thing I have to say, Drew, right here is authorization of $50,000. That's pretty steep. I think
I would note that has not been changed. So that number of 50,000 was in the original 2019 procurement policy. That is a number, at least when it comes to like regular public contracting and some of the non-federal, that is a number in which the council has discretion on what that number set.
If that's already an ordinance, I think we should amend that because all costs should come in with with the proposal. There shouldn't be no reason that all of a sudden they say, oh, you know what? We need $40,000 to go buy this thing. Or whatever it may be, whether it's a pump, motor, whatever it may be.
Well, council member, there, you have a very recent example of where you would need that authority. It was the fact that the threshold was so high that the mayor was able to make the initial authorization to purchase the motored replacement for well 4. So there are situations where yes, you may need to have an emergency repair like that, where you need to move quickly and in order to do it. That's just an example of why you might want to have a signing authority that high. Now, you might say there and go, well, that's something that happens once in a blue moon, and that's totally valid too. And again, in my experience, I have seen signing authorities be as high for executives to be as high as $100,000. I have seen signing authorities for executives to be as low as $10,000. It's a number at which you as a council has determined is necessary to allow the mayor to make purchases that are necessary to take out the duties of her role as the executive here.
Well, hopefully, we'll get a little bit more diligent as far as maintenance procedures go to where this doesn't become the norm.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's why I'm saying. I mean, if it's something that we gotta have, just like, gotta have it at that moment. I don't have a problem with it, but any finances should come in with the proposal to where we know where we stand before the project even starts. And if we do run into a situation like this, then yeah, I mean, the mayor has my approval. If you know what, if it needs to be paid or bought at that time, then hey, go for it. If it's needed, you know, if you can wait a day or two, then maybe we can talk about it. But if it's needed right there, you know, ASAP, then yeah, you know, I don't have a problem with that. But we gotta kind of hopefully we get a maintenance, regular maintenance to where some of these things will be preventable.
Mm-hmm. One other thing I want to point out, and just making sure that there is signing authority and then there's bidding requirements, and there are state statute limitations on bidding requirements. So, for example, and I don't have the numbers directly off the top of my head, but there is not a situation where you can have a contract over a certain dollar amount that you can then just simply award without having an RFQ bidding process. So recognize that while you might set the signing authority at one level, that whether or not a bid is required, first off, you know, there's a floor there, which is the floor is there are certain contracts where you have to go out for bid for, and then there might be additional contracts on top of what you are required by state law to say these are where we want to have the bid, want to also add on bid. You could do it from a cost perspective, or you can do it from a type perspective. It, you know, and we can maybe talk about where your discretion is there and what do you want to see as a council in terms of what things you absolutely want to see go out to bid versus these are things that we are okay with not going to bid. We're allowed to under state law to not go out to the bid, and we want either the mayor or department head to handle this way. And recognize that version of it still might involve your approval, depending on what the signing authority level is.
That brings a question to my mind, Drew. I think, you know, we hate to bring up the past, but it's the past. We had something happen to us as council from a prior mayor that went and rented and actually leased, a building and filled it with furniture and all the work that needed to be done in it without even bringing it to us as council. I think that's one of our concerns. Not that Martha or mayor would do that, but I think it just makes us, you know, kind of concerned about how much you could spend. And I'm sure she spent more than she should have, but it happened.
Well, and there's only so much the policy, Councilman Savala can address that problem, right? You could set, the most stringent levels on the planet, and if an individual decides to go a step beyond their authority to do something like that, because what you just described to me seems like they've gone way past their authority, and it is very inappropriate behavior. There are going to be consequences for that behavior that doesn't necessarily going to be covered in the procurement policy, right? And so then it's on the procurement policy is one piece of the larger system that you need to have in terms of having if you think about like it from a state auditor perspective, the use of the term is internal control, right? How do you make sure that your staff, council, mayor are all operating in the best system, in the best interest of the city, and then therefore, and as you have a system in place to ensure, compliance with state laws and with policies, and to not allow that exact scenario happen, right? The procurement policy is one piece of that internal control. And so then the other component of that is going to be another set of internal controls, whether it be, a department head who, making sure the mayor has, good control and authority over department heads, and the department heads having good control and authority over their frontline employees, ensuring that, the council gets regular financial updates like it is starting to get now, so that where the money is being spent on a fairly regular basis. Like all those pieces work together to help avoid a situation like you just described. And again, if you decide to lower the signing authority so that one person can't, sign away, an X amount of dollars, as I said before, I've seen signing authorities be as low as $10,000. I've seen it be about as high as $100,000. It really will come down to the comfort level of the council, balancing that concern with making sure that the mayor has enough authority to do what she needs to do on a day-to-day basis.
I think what's gonna come down to, Drew, is the availability of funds.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have anything to do with not trusting the mayor or anything like that. It's just, we have the funds to buy or purchase certain items spare of the moment.
Right, and that's right. And if the city doesn't have the funds for it, the mayor could have all the signing authority in the world. Doesn't mean that they're able to then go out and make those purchases, right?
Yeah. Drew, on this prevailing wages, does the city cover those costs, or is that included
Yes.
in any
Yes.
project?
So state law requires that on all public works contracts that we pay, and this specifically, council member, is for work that is done not by your non-public employee staff. So we're talking about like your chip seal contract. They all have to pay prevailing wage. That calculation is done by Labor and Industries. That is something, so for example, for your chip seal, you actually have a grant. So as far as I'm aware, you're not actually paying any money out of that. But yes, you have to pay the prevailing wage. It gets paid by the city. The contractor actually has to file a ton of paperwork with LNI to basically affirm that they are in fact turning around and spending the money or paying the money to their employees at the set prevailing wage. And the prevailing wage is a number that is calculated by Labor and Industries that's based off of the year and the location of where the contract is located. So a prevailing wage contract in Mapton, Washington is going to be at a different dollar amount than what it's going to be in Seattle, Washington.
Yeah.
It's already in the bid.
Yeah.
It's already included.
Yeah, you're required in the bid or if you go off for an RFP for a public works contract to include prevailing wage provisions and to put the contractors on notice for prevailing wage, and that it's supposed to be built into the cost of the bid.
Yeah.
Certificate of insurance has to be presented with the proposal?
Say that again?
The certificate of insurance, it has to be presented with the proposal, right?
That is correct,
Before-
yes. Yes. They have to show that they meet minimum insurance requirements. And I will tell you that the minimum insurance requirements for your contract are all numbers that are recommended by your insurance carrier, WCIA, and that's across the board. I work with a number of cities that use WCIA as their insurance. It's basically the same across the board, regardless of where you're at in the state. But they have to provide they have to provide certificate insurance.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, Drew, but even contractors, subcontractors gotta get a business license through Mapton before they start performing any kind of work?
That is what you, I believe is holdover language from the 2019 procurement policy. That's not necessarily a state law requirement. I can tell you that a lot of cities do require it of their contractors. I say this, as somebody who is a contractor for cities. I've had it more than on one occasion where a city has said, all right, for us to enter into a contract, you need to have a business license within the city. That's up to you if you want to keep that. Plenty of cities require it. It's usually pretty pro forma. Most of that stuff is handled by the state anyways now. So they just go online, they pay the fee that will go to you guys, but they do it through the state portal to get the city of Mapton endorsement, and then they present that either within their bid packets, or if they've been awarded the bid, they may post that, they may complete that task after the fact.
And yes, we do have to, they do many different.
Well, I think I'm gonna have to go over this a little bit more, Drew, and I'll probably end up having more questions for you at the next meeting.
Absolutely. And again, happy to answer those questions, when they come up. I anticipate this was going to be a multi-meeting process. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, Drew.
Let's move on to item E, which is the discussion on the approval of an ordinance providing a one-time $75 water utility bill credit to all water utility ratepayers for one billing cycle, providing for severability, providing for corrections, and establishing an effective date.
Do you have a total, if we pay each household $75, what our total for that would be? Is there a total? Like,
Here, I have a total.
do you? Okay, I should have known this.
First thing I want to say is that I wish this would have been brought to our attention before it was posted on the webpage, before it was posted on Facebook. Because now I feel like our backs are up against the wall. And the reason I say that is because what was the purpose of it being like, we gotta do it now, the rate of the rate raise? What was the purpose of that? If we're gonna turn around 3 months later and now give a $75 discount,
I
I
don't,
think the best thing we probably could have done, instead of coming up with this, just all of a sudden without our knowledge, is maybe we should have offered the residents cases of water to get them by for a few weeks. Whether that's 3, 4, 5 cases of a household, maybe that's what we should have done instead. I think they would have probably appreciated that more than what we're trying to do now. Because now, the way I see it, is that I tend to think that residents are gonna expect this now. And
well,
now we gotta either decide today, or we gotta decide within the next couple of weeks. And if we,
I think you guys can set that one time.
I think the problem with residents could be that, like you said, they'll expect it, they're gonna wanna know, how can you afford that now?
Yeah,
That's, and I'm just because we hear it all the time out there.
See, and this is
Okay.
why I asked you guys to come and like talk to me, come to City Hall. And I understand, yes, I'm there Tuesdays and Thursdays, but that's why it's important for you guys to come to me and tell me.
I- Yesterday,
Yeah.
I tried to come here yesterday.
I
and
know,
you
but
were
I
here.
also, you guys need, as council members and some that have been here before, you know that this is a part-time position. I am not an employee of the city. I do not get benefits. I do not get an hourly wage.
But when
And I
we-
have, hold on,
Okay.
and I have a family that I also, like, and everybody here, we have to support. So, knowing that this mayor position is a part-time position. I don't need to be here, it's not
But Martha,
required for me to be here every day, 8 hours a week.
we're not
I'm
asking
sorry,
that.
8 hours a day.
But when you say I'll be there Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I wait till
I
your
understand,
days.
but I also have like appointments and stuff, so you guys also need to understand that. With like anybody else, we have stuff going on.
Well, I realize that, so answer your phone if you can. Or send us, no, send us a
Okay,
message.
I'm not gonna.
No, and I'm not either,
I'm not
but
going
I'm
to
not
discuss
talking for
this.
myself. I am talking for residents that are putting it out there saying
That I don't answer my phone.
that you do not reply to them. Some lady said she did an email to you 3, 5 times, Ruben, I can't remember, and you never got back to her. That's where I'm coming from. My problems, I don't really have a problem. My discussion is just to talk to you about things that, so I apologize for that.
here's the numbers. Here's a breakdown of the numbers. At $75 per household. You're looking at 636 hookups here in Mapleton. That's $47,700. Do we have $47,700 just to hand out? This is the thing about it.
Don't look at me.
This is the thing about it. Is it affordable?
Or could we do a?
Okay, let me,
Okay.
excuse me, dear, let me finish what I gotta say.
I apologize.
I've asked numerous of times. And we're all here to witness, you were all witnesses at the time. How much money do we have? Till this day, I still haven't gotten an answer. So how do we know that we have $47,700 to just send it down the drain pretty much, because the purpose of the raise, of the water rate raise, was to try to make revenue for the city. And now instead of making revenue for a month, this is what we're gonna lose in 1 month. If we go at $75 a household. That's a good chunk of change. That's why he said, we should have been notified about this. This should have been discussed under executive session so that we know where we stand, know what we have. But as of right now, we don't know either one. Here's what the breakdown is at $50 a household. $31,800. $25 a household. $15,900. That's a big difference. So how are we gonna do this? Us council members, we don't have a clue on whose idea this was, who thought about this, who's the one that decided, yes, we're gonna write up an ordinance, we're gonna have the lawyer write it all up. We'll talk to the council later. We paid the lawyer, however much we paid him, for him to write this up without our consent. And that right there, to me, I'm gonna use this word, is being disrespectful to the council. Because we should have been aware of that. We should have been told about this before anything was even written on paper, but we weren't. this excuse, I see it as an excuse that we should go to you. How did we know this was coming up? We didn't know this until we, hold up. Yes, but we didn't,
know that this was something that I wanted to do.
you should have got a hold of us individually and said, hey, you know what? I have an idea. Can you have time to come in so we can talk about this and see how you guys feel about it before I move on? But you didn't do that. All you did was send out an email, making us all aware that this was an idea that you were thinking about.
And then you
To-
could have responded to my email and.
One day later, we get the packet. So it was,
One day later.
we didn't get this packet, I didn't get my packet till Saturday.
I know, but the email wasn't one day later.
The packet was one day later.
I know, but the email letting you guys know that this is something that I wanted to,
When was that email sent out?
it was sent out, I know it was sent out last week,
On a Friday. I think it was on Friday.
not Friday that just passed, before that.
I don't know.
I don't-
I know that this has been in the, like,
Mm-hmm.
Drew has been working on this for about a week.
On this proposal.
Yes. Well, I know that I
If this,
sent that
okay,
email before that.
here's what, okay, if this has been being worked on for a week, why were we barely notified about it?
That's the thing, I sent you an email.
That's
And-
that's the frustrating thing about it is that it's like,
But all due respect,
We're not-
Ruben, I agree with not knowing or whatever, but our mayor does have the right to do these kind of things without bringing each, I know, and I don't agree with it. I think it's too much. Okay, I agree with what she wants to do. I wish we could do it. I feel we can't do it. It's too much, but I do understand the reasoning for it. It's because we charge so much for our water for these people, and that's why I wanted to get the water distribute water would have been it, but we didn't talk about it, and we didn't take action on it or anything, and this is where we end up.
I myself. I myself, I'd rather table this than to even discuss it right now.
Okay. And I'm fine with that, like I said, I don't like the amount. Not because I don't think they don't deserve it, I think they do deserve it, but I don't think we could do it. Oh, that's all.
Okay, so.
I would rather table this.
Okay.
Okay, so, next up is visitors' comments.
There we have F, and then we
Oh,
have
sorry.
the next meeting.
Where did we go on?
Oh, yes.
Didn't do this. Yeah, we need to do that, yeah.
Okay, so the discussion for purchase of a street sweeper, let me just before, you know.
The excitement comes.
Yes, so. Sierra Santa Fe, who is doing our Fox seal, they, brought it to our attention that, they have a street sweeper for sale. I spoke with Dave, from Sierra Santa Fe, obviously he knows, our issues, our financial issues. He did say that he is willing to do installments. And he said there's no rush. They've enjoyed working with us from the last time they were here to now that they're doing the fog seal. So he spoke with his has 3 sons that are within the company, and they also were like, yeah, let's help them out and let's give them that chance to purchase it. But yeah, they're selling it for 30,000, and they're willing to do installments. I'm just putting it out there. We're not taking any action.
We've had what?
We have, and so it's just not, it's not working, and I don't think we can get it to work. But
It
there's.
caught fire,
Huh?
it burned,
I don't think it did.
yeah, it
Did
did,
it?
yeah,
Okay.
Oh.
it started up by itself.
Well, anyways, so he, David, was talking to Joe about it. That's why this came about. Anyways, he did tell Joe, like, well, don't get rid of yours because, you can interchange parts.
Yeah, as for that, but electrical inside the.
Yes, but
it
yeah,
won't.
other stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
So, we're gonna move into our regular meeting now.
Give me a
so-
second here, got that.
So I will adjourn, this study session here, at 7:01. Yeah.